us from all over New England. And now in our 13th award-winning season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. It's another Sunday at noon, and we're glad you joined us here on the Winds of New England. I'm Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy, and I guess, first of all, a little bookkeeping to take care of. Thanks for filling in for me while I was on assignment, as they say, the last several weeks. Reports I heard were all very good.
We didn't even know you were gone. Were you gone 4 years?
That's right, yeah. And Gary Carrington last week was the latest to qualify for the Tournament of Champions, and today we begin the process of finding our last qualifier. Hard to believe the tournament is just 4 weeks away. It starts 4 weeks from today.
That's right. And this week, boy, I'll tell you, this is like the shootout at high noon on Sunday with this star-studded field we have.
We really do have a terrific field. These 5 bowlers that are going to gather for the next few weeks to decide this last spot in the Tournament of Champions. We'll let you know who the other bowlers are, but first let's introduce our 2 bowlers for today. First of all, our number 5 seed from Dorchester, Massachusetts, Jack Saniuk.
Yeah, Jack comes in averaging 122. His roll-off score was 660.
Jack has not been with us for a while, so this will be his first appearance in quite some time here on Stars and Strikes. And another guy who's been here a lot over the years, and actually has also not been here for a little while. Our number 4 seed from Stoneham, Massachusetts, is Bob Kelly.
Okay, and Bob averages a 123. His roll-off score 5 pins better than Jack at 665.
All right, we have a lot of other numbers to discuss here. Of course, the winner of this match will move on and hope to win 4 matches in a row. It's going to take 4 wins in a row for one of these 2 bowlers today to reach the Tournament of Champions. Now, in our bonus ball contest later on in the hour, we have $100 available there, and our triple strike jackpot, which Dan was unable to give away during the 4 weeks that I was gone, is now up to $1,450. So if any of our bowlers can put together 3 consecutive strikes, they will take home a check for $1,450. We will be back to start this match. Should be a great one between Jack Saniuk and Bob Kelly right after these messages.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks, once again bringing you the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
Welcome back to Park Place Lanes, Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and as promised, the list of 5 names, the bowlers who'll be joining us in this series, and what an impressive list it is. Jack Saniuk and Bob Kelly today. The winner of this one faces Jack Ray next week. Kevin Davis will be here in 2 weeks, and Tim Lipke, who won a couple of matches in the previous series, will be here to try and defend that number 1 spot. But, of course, the number 1 spot, Dan, has not been a guarantee this season. Of the 5 bowlers that have already qualified for the Tournament of Champions, only 2 of them were number 1 seeds.
That's right. That's right. So it's no guarantee, other than the fact you only have to win 1 match to get into the Tournament of Champions, where these 2 bowlers have to win 4 matches.
Jack Saniuk making his first appearance here since well, just about 3 years ago. April the 10th, 1994, when he lost a match to Dave Richards. Jack starts out with an 8-box. And look out.
Everything but the 6-pin. For the spare.
Yes, sir. And now a look at Bob Kelly, our 1996 champion in the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
That's right. Well, he kicks out the 10-pin, leaves just the 6 and 10. Piece of wood out in front, as well as one just to the left.
Bob Kelly was the number 1 seed in last year's Tournament of Champions, and that 1 match he had to bowl was a very good one. He threw a 425 to beat Tim Lipke, who rolled a very fine 393 in a losing effort.
Probably played that wood a little farther to the right than he should have, and left the 6-pin.
And a spare leave for Bob now in box number 2, but well, watch out for the wood.
He didn't, I think he wanted that head pin to fall, and now that pin is in play. But it is right in front of the 2 and the 4. He's asked Cindy to go down and take a look and make sure it's in play.
Cindy Sissom working the Deadwood line and the big scoreboard for us here at Park Place Lanes. And Bob plays it and plays it for a spare.
No problem there.
Nope.
Made much to do out of nothing there. He just played it perfectly, just drove it right straight back into the 2 and 4.
Oh, big first ball again. Second 9 drop in a row for Jack Saniuk.
And that was on a spare as well in the second box. Leaves just the 10 pin. Try to make it 2 in a row. Nope. He turned around as soon as he threw that ball. If he actually missed it a little bit farther to the left, he might have caromed off that piece of wood. Yes, he just missed it both ways. 37 after 3.
A little full that time for Jack, but he got away with it. Leaves just the 2 and the 10. Possibilities with the wood.
Two and 10, piece of wood out in front of the 2. He's going to try to use that and snap that off the sidewall, or maybe right off the 2 pin into the 10. Probably the right hand tip.
Got it.
Nice shot.
2 marks for Jack on lane 31.
He was to the right of the red line, but I thought he had to be even a little farther to the right, but it went quickly. Second mark for Jack. All spares so far for both bowlers.
Bob Kelly on a spare, just 4. This is Bob's 28th appearance here in singles competition on Stars and Strikes, with a record of 16 and 11. Picks up a 10.
And Jack Saniuk leading by just 3, as you can see the scoreboard.
And Jack with a spare up here in the 4th. Bob trying to match it. The left-hander. Uh-oh.
Boy.
Drives out the 1, 8, and 9.
Spread eagle plus the 5 pin.
And an 8. So 42 through 8 for Bob Kelly. Jack Saniuk now with an opportunity to add to his lead, working on the spare. This time a 5 fill.
And an unusual leave. The diamond plus the 7 pin.
Jack and his wife Diane live in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and they're expecting their first child in July. Jack works for State Street Bank as a division comptroller. Jack going for a re-rack now on lane 31. He'll take another look. Back in the pocket again, and another spare leave.
Yes, 2 and 4 again. 2 pins that Bob Kelly converted for a spare earlier.
And again, maybe a little tricky wood here.
It's almost going to have to drive the ball straight through the wood.
Yes.
Just enough to catch the 4 pin. Well, lane 31 has been good to Jack. You can see 2nd, 4th, and 6th boxes, all spares, all on lane 31.
And Bob Kelly's only mark was also on lane 31. Well, let's see. Spare leave here for Bob. The triangle, the 6, 9, and 10. With the possibility of even using that wood in front as a little guide. We'll see if he plays it. Thinking about it, I think. Oh, tried to play it clean and couldn't get the 10 pin. Lane 32 wins again. That'll be a 9. And a 9-pin lead for Jack Saniuk after 5 boxes. Here's what happened on that spare attempt.
Just touches the piece of wood. and just doesn't get enough of the 6-pin to carry the 10. But now he's on lane 31, and there it is. The streak continues. 5 marks in the match, all in lane 31. First strike of the match by Bob Kelly.
Both bowlers with marks up. No, and Jack on a spare, just for the spread eagle. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks, and now with Mega Cash. Choose your dream. Tri-State Megabucks. 8 for Jack Saniuk. He's in the lead, but Bob Kelly does have that strike up on the board. Well, here's an interesting leave. The 1, 2, 9, and 10 with no playable wood. It'll look great if it goes.
Oh, that close.
Was almost. For the first time, Jack Saniuk open on lane 31. He'll take a 9-box. And now a big opportunity here for Bob Kelly, not only working on a strike, but 2 open frames in the 7th and 8th for him to work on. Off target. He'll get another ball in the strike fill. Six.
So both bowlers having a tough time filling marks. Jack had a spare back in the second. We fill with 9, but the rest of them for both bowlers, nothing higher than a 6.
That's because they've been filling marks on lane 32, and that's
true.
The lane that's giving them problems right now. For whatever reason. It's interesting, too, because we've got one right-hander and one left-hander, and yet it seems to be affecting them both the same way, but lane 31 seems to be falling just fine, and here's another spare leave for Bob Kelly.
He'll get a clear shot at the 5 and 9 pins.
Watch out. Oh, he got it with the wood. Went farther to the right than he wanted, but he got away with it.
This wood comes off the wall. He certainly was shooting the 5-pin, but a lucky break there for Bob. But he'll take it. Somehow it turns around and doesn't even out in your favor. Jack off the head pin, but hang on. Just a 9-10 left.
That's maybe the first break either bowler has gotten on this lane. See if Jack can take advantage of it. No.
Bowler's going to be lobbying to use 31 and 33 if this keeps up.
Still
101.
Still no marks on lane 32. And Jack had that one slip away on him. Right back in the pocket for the recovery ball, though, and he nearly converted. And it's a 10 for a 1-11 opening game for Jack Saniuk. Bob Kelly, look at that. Oh, he's going to get the break here on the 7-pin. I thought for a moment it wasn't going to go down.
6-10 left for Bob, trying to make it 2 marks in a row, and the first one on 32.
He takes the lead in the match, by the way, with that fill. And there it is. Somebody finally solved it. That's 4 marks now for Bob Kelly, and he has the lead in the match. Oh, great hit. Just a very light touch on the head pin and a 9-drop. Chance for Bob to make it 3 marks in a row. And he's got it. 122 plus a ball. Chance to drive the lead up to around 20 with a big fill.
Obviously, that 9 on the spare in the 9th has not been added in yet until we complete this 10th frame.
Make it 6 on the 7 on the spare in the 10th. Anything else? No, that'll be 7. And a 129 for Bob Kelly, an 18-pin lead over Jack Saniuk after one game. We bowl 3 here on Stars and Strikes, and we'll have the middle game for you when we come back. Don't go away.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Well, we've got $100 up for grabs in our bonus ball contest at the end of the hour, but you can't win if we don't have your postcard. Send a regular-sized postcard only, please, with your name, your full address, including zip code, and the number from 1 to 10, the number of pins you think will drop on the bonus ball. Send it into Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Windham, New Hampshire, 03087. And good luck from all of us here at the Winds of New England. Bob Kelly starting game 2, leading by 18 pins.
Similar shot he had earlier in the match. Again, he got a lucky, well, not a lucky break, but he did kick out the 7-pin and give him a legitimate spare lead, but this time full on the 6. Drove it right straight between the 9 and the 10.
9 box for Bob. Well, we mentioned Jack Saniuk and his wife Diane are expecting their first baby, one of our very special guests here at the taping today. Bob and Marianne Kelly's brand new daughter Madison making her first appearance at a Stars and Strikes taping, 2 months old, joining older brother Cameron in the Kelly family. And look out, great effort. Not quite for Bob. I tell you, Madison's only 2 months old, but she seems very at home here at the table, very comfortable.
Can't understand why. Almost enough to kick forward for the 4-pin. Marianne, Bob's wife, was here with a baby, and she said she was in a bowling lane, I think 2 weeks old. I think she was made her debut, so she knows the noise.
Well, see, I figure, I mean, they say, don't they, that sounds that the baby hears while it's still in the womb are very comforting afterwards. So you figure if Marianne was, you know, around bowling lanes,
sure.
and, you know, the baby was probably hearing that sound.
Which brings up a question, and I'm sure the witty fellow you are, and having 4 weeks off, you'll have a good explanation for Mario Leclerc from Manchester. And
what is Mario's question?
Mario this past weekend, and friends of ours, and he asked me, he said, Dan, Doug made a comment.
Big strike for Jack Saniuk. Sorry to interrupt, Dan, but we want to acknowledge Jack Saniuk's first strike of the match.
And we talk about noise all the time, and you made a comment, you know, the polished sportscast that you are. You said there was he just converted a loud spare, and Mario wants to know, what's a loud spare? I didn't have an answer for him because I'm not quite as polished as you, so I figured I'd ask you on the air.
Oh, great spare
by Bob Kelly.
Playing it the outside way on the 4 horsemen. Watch this. Just like they're all attached.
So, Mario, he'll answer that question week after next. Give him some time.
Actually, I'll answer it as soon as the noise dies down here. We get marks happening all over the place all of a sudden.
Just 4 on that spare for Bob.
Well, usually when I say a loud spare, it means that there's a lot of wood on the pin deck, and especially if you've got a bowler throwing the ball hard, and the ball hits wood on the pin deck, it makes a lot of noise as the spare is converted. So that is probably what I was referring to. Of course, the other thing it could have been is we have big crowds here and they make a lot of noise. It could have been because of that, but I have a feeling it was because of the first reason. Also, actually, the real reason was it was so loud because I could hear it all the way back home when I was away those 4 weeks. See, that's what it was. I wasn't even here and I could hear it.
So, Mario, that's his story, and he's sticking to it.
Well, there's no question. We've talked about this many times that when you have bowlers that throw the ball particularly hard, there's a distinctive sound that the pins make, especially when they're lying on the pin deck and they get hit.
Almost like that major league pitcher popping that catcher's glove.
That's right. That's right.
9 for Jack, 37. Well, I'll have to talk to Mario, see if he accepts that explanation. Maybe he's got one of his own. I don't know. Off target to the right for Jack. You just wait for these two bowlers just to start unloading here, throwing some marks up in a row. But so far it's been, well, Bob Kelly's 129 is a decent game. It just was a quiet 129 as opposed to being loud.
See, you caught on.
Yeah. I'll tell you, work with you long enough, it starts to rub off.
And a 9 box for Jack Saniuk, and that will take us to a timeout. Jack has recovered 6 of the pins by which he was trailing at the end of one. The lead is now 12 as we approach the halfway point. We're back on Candlepin Stars and Strikes after these words.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing, always Coca-Cola.
You're looking at Bob Kelly, the left-hander from Stoneham, Massachusetts. You're talking about hard throwers and loud spares and so forth in the last segment. Neither one of these guys, who certainly are among the elite group in Candlepin bowling, neither one of them throws the ball particularly hard. But how about that? Oh, the wood costing Bob that shot.
Yeah, that wood was destined to knock the 7-pin down. The first piece kind of deflected it, slowed it down.
But neither of these guys throws the ball particularly hard. Bob probably throws a little harder than Jack does. Watch this now.
Here comes the 6-pin. Oh, here it comes. Look at that. That close.
The wood giveth and the wood taketh away.
Yeah. There's a tendency to take away more than it gives, I think, though. 4 horsemen right for Bob Kelly.
Well, he made this shot earlier.
This time he splits them.
Well, he's made it both ways. Spare in the 6th for Bob.
Splitting the 1 and the 2 into the 6, and the 1 and the 3, I should say, into the 6, and then finally the 10.
Jack Saniuk with the same leave plus the 9-pin. Off target. Wouldn't you know? The pin that's still there is the 9. Even though it didn't happen in the conventional way. And it's still there. Jack specializing in 9 boxes in this second game.
Bob Kelly still leading by 13, but he has a spare up, could increase the lead if Jack doesn't match that mark.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by our friends at Coca-Cola. Always the real thing, always Coca-Cola. Possibilities here with the wood. And Jack will take yet another 9 box, his 4th in a row. Bob Kelly leading, as you see at the moment, by 14 pins, but he's working on a mark.
And again, just 5 fill on the spare.
And Bob's got a piece of wood that's rolled about a quarter of the way back up the lane. It's still rolling. I have a feeling that'll probably wind up out of play. What do you think?
Well, if I were a betting man, which I'm really not, I'd say you may be right.
Bob will wait for Cindy Sisson to clear it out of the way. And it's a 10. Good 10 box there for Bob. And the lead is 19.
That's the ball we get used to watching Bob Kelly throw. Scatters 9 pins, leaves just the 5.
For the spare. Yes. That's mark number 8 for Bob Kelly in 18 boxes. And he has the lead in the match. Jack Saniuk now. Wow.
What is that?
Wow.
What is that? Right in the 1-3 pocket. Jack kind of shakes his bowling ball like, what am I throwing here? Marshmallows or what? What was that? 4, 7, 8, and 10.
And it could have been worse. It looked like he might have had the 9 down there, too, at first before it finally went over. And the 5-pin was there, too. So just an 8-box this time for Jack. And that's a mystifying hit because that looked like a pretty good first ball.
And just 72 after 7. Now trails by 21. But again, Bob Kelly has a markup in the 8th.
Well, Jack has done that several times. Put the ball out to the right.
Yeah, the release point is a little too soon when you leave it out to the right. Good recovery there, but no spare to show for it.
And a 9-box. So Bob Kelly now will come up with the lead already at 22, and he will increase it by this first ball. Right in the pocket.
Oh, kicked out the 6 and the 10. Drops 8 on the spare. 2 and 4 left. Piece of wood behind the 4. Another piece of wood in front of the 2.
Got it.
No problem. 2 in a row. 4 spares in this game. 103 plus the bonus ball in the 9th. Quietly going about his business, increasing that lead.
Yeah, we've only had 2 strikes in the match so far, 1 for each bowler, and that's somewhat unusual with these 2 guys.
Well, Bob went through the middle, but dropped 6. That's the bad news. Good news is he's got a piece of wood next to the 3-pin. He could sweep it across a little high.
Yeah. No, Bob let that one slip to the left, so that'll be an 8-box and a 117, a 2-game total of 246 for Bob Kelly.
Right around his average, 246.
Oh, and Jack.
Actually right on his average. Average is 123.
Jack Saniuk drilling right through the middle for the spread eagle, and in desperate need of a mark, and won't happen here.
Jeopardy of being below the 100 mark.
He'll need a mark to get there. 89 through 9. Again, leaving it short to the right of the head pin, but the wood settles in for him.
1, 2, 4, 7 piece of wood right up against the 1 and the 2. Another one next to the 4 should help keep these pins in play if he's on the head pin.
Oh.
Well, when things are going bad, that's what happens. Nothing came close to touching the 7-pin.
So that's a 10-box, a 99 for Jack Saniuk, and a 2-game total of 210. So a 36-pin lead for Bob Kelly after 2 with 1 game to go on Candlepin Stars and Strikes when we return to Park Place Lanes in a minute. Well, we mentioned 4 weeks from today, the 1997 Tournament of Champions begins, the 9th annual Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, and here are the 5 bowlers who've already qualified. Paul Berger in the number 1 spot, Gary Carrington last week getting into that number 2 spot, Chris Sargent, Steve Plant, Chris Grimes, all waiting for the tournament to begin. And we will have our 6th bowler very, very soon. Oh, and Jack Saniuk starts the 3rd game with a strike and trailing by 36 pins. That's a pretty good way to start.
Just tripping that 4-pin off the sidewall. Picture perfect strike.
Just missing the head pin that time.
Well, possibilities with the 1 and the 7. Let's see where the wood settles down.
Well, moving away now a little bit from the one.
Well, first order of business is to catch the head pin. After that, he's got a good shot at it with the wood, but
and it'll be a 10 for Jack.
And 29. He would have really liked that start of a strike spare. Just really didn't have the good angle on the 7-pin with that piece of wood.
Bob Kelly has won each of the first 2 games by 18 pins. So he has a 36-pin lead.
18, 18, 30. Yep, right.
Thanks for verifying that.
Okay.
No, leaving the 9-pin. Bob works for the U.S. Postal Service.
Make it a 10. Lead now drops to 27 because of the strike 9 by Jack Saniuk.
Bob back in the pocket, but no break at all on the 5-pin. Wow. Well, here's an interesting leave, though. It's the 5-7, and even with the wood way over there, would you kind of give it a shot?
Well, you know, you're going to cut the 5-pin over. Just try to maybe hit the cap of the wood, and then if you miss it.
Oh, well, seemed like a good idea. I think Bob thought he had it.
Well, obviously, by his body reaction, he was shooting for the cap of that wood, and he put the ball right where he wanted to, but didn't carry the 7.
Now he's waiting for another piece of wood. And it'll be a 10 bucks for Bob. A couple of 10s. See what happened on that spare attempt.
Oh, right in front of the 7.
Jack Saniuk, wow, he missed the head pin, but he's got a spare leave, the 1 and the 3.
You could see he was really behind himself for that release point. His body was almost to come to a complete stop, and his arm was lagging behind him, and that usually means you're going to miss to the right. That's exactly what Jack did.
Back on the head pin this time, and wouldn't you know it, 2 full. The 6, 7, and 10. Well, I think Jack was trying to play the wood and bounce it off the left sidewall. He got caught in between, and he'll take a 9 bucks.
The release point is so critical. By the time the ball rolls 60 feet down the lane, you could be a fraction of a second off in your release point and be a 6 inches to a foot off your target. Kind of like our golf swings, Doug. Go about the same, 60 feet, and we're off 60 yards to the right or left.
Oh, great shot. Bob Kelly with a honey of a spare. Wow, what a great shot that was.
Spare in the 3rd. Plays it on the inside. Ball goes down and takes out the 4, which takes the 7. And the result is a fantastic spare by Bob Kelly. Leading by 27. He'll increase that lead with this ball. And it's 4.
Boy, make a spare like that and a spread eagle as the fill.
I tell you, with the bowlers coming up, I think both these bowlers realize they can't make these kind of mistakes on fills and expect to go on. Next week, Jack Ray. You get by Jack, you got Kevin Davis, you get by Kevin, and you got Tim Lipke. So it isn't going to get any easier.
A 9 box for Bob Kelly, and we'll be back. 31 pins the lead for Bob with 6 boxes to go on Stars and Strikes. Jack Saniuk looking to make some noise here and make a run at Bob Kelly over the final 6 boxes. Spare leave here. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Route 97, Salem, New Hampshire. And there's a spare for Jack Saniuk.
Even that one didn't go as quickly as you would expect. Watch the 7-pin. Hangs around a little longer than you thought it should. Spare in the 5th. Needs just to continually mark with decent fills. And that has been the problem. Look at this. He got the fill 8, but he leaves himself the 4 and the 10. And
the wood turned away.
Oh, no, it's in play. That piece of wood is from the red line to the right is in play, and that's a good shot. That's going to come out of the side, off the sidewall. Oh boy, I missed it. I would have liked to have seen him hit that wood just to see the reaction of the wood.
9 box for Jack. Bob Kelly now. Big first ball for Bob, leaves the 5. Bob's waving the wood and it cooperates.
You just have to go right at the 5-pin. Should be no problem if the ball's put on the 5-pin somewhere. The wood shouldn't bother him.
Got it.
Nice spare in the 5th. Matches Jack's lead temporarily was cut to 23. Bob will increase that again with this spare.
And the fill is 7.
Triangle. 2, 4, 5.
Watch out for the cap. Oh, he played the cap and got it to go.
Or at least he looked like he played the cap. His reaction tells me I don't think he did.
Looked like the way to play it, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly went quick enough.
Jack Saniuk this time does get an extra pin, leaving the 6-10.
Jack gives you those flashes like he's going to get in a groove and throw 3 or 4 marks in a row. Time is really running out.
He's almost at the point now where he needs strikes. Of course, 3 strikes in a row would be $1,450.
Regardless of the outcome of the match, that would be quite a happy ending for someone. But since we've only had, what, 2 strikes, 3 strikes in the whole match, chances at least this week doesn't look very good.
Just missed.
Everything but the 10. Split the 1 and the 3.
And a 9.
Even 100 after 8.
Just hasn't been able to bunch the marks together. Jack has not been able to put marks back to back in this match yet. Bob Kelly on a spare. He'll take 8.
Bob Kelly has done that twice in the first game, the last 3 boxes, and now a double spare here, going for 3 in a row. 1 and the 7 pins left. A piece of wood should help him if he catches the head pin, but again, missing the object pin.
It's a 10, and the lead in the match 33. Don't forget, next Saturday at noon, we will have another edition of Candlepin Skins from Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill. And, of course, Sunday at noon, we'll be back with the winner of this match against Jack Ray. Don't think that's where Bob wanted to put that ball. Wanted to use the wood and give himself a chance. Instead, he'll take a 9 box, but it clicks another box off the scorecard, and Bob is leading by 33 with 2 to go. Triple strike jackpot still there, though, if either of these guys were to put 3 in a row together. If not, we'll be up to $1,500 next week. 9 for Jack. He's been kind of specializing in 9 boxes today.
Not a good sign. You specialize in 9 boxes. I specialize in spares and strikes.
Right. Do you believe that's 11 9 boxes? Hasn't been Jack's day, and look at that. Still isn't his day. A 10, a 119 for Jack, and a 329. Bob Kelly safely in the clubhouse with the win. He will be back next week to face Jack Ray. And Bob adds
a 9-pin drop. Did everything he could to coax that 5-pin over, but too many pieces of wood hit it at the same time.
Takes the spare. Bob's only thrown 1 strike today, but he does have 12 spares. And would you believe, another 9-pin drop. And another spare, number 13. Bob should be up over 370.
Okay, a little glitch in this computer here, which is
actually Bob is already over 370. And he adds 5 more, a 131, a 3-game total of 387. Make it 377. 377 for Bob Kelly, 329 for Jack Saniuk. Bob Kelly advances, and we will advance to these commercials and then have more, including our bonus ball contest. Don't go away. Welcome back to Stars and Strikes. Doug Brown and Dan Murphy, and the first week of our last regular season series of the season, and this one goes to Bob Kelly. Nothing flashy really, but he did end up with a lot of marks, and just 1 strike. It was enough to win.
That's right. He was on top of his game somewhat. He was missing the object pin quite a bit, but his score was there. Jack had a tough time all day long. Let's
talk to both of our bowlers and see if we can't win somebody some money in the bonus ball contest. First of all, a round of applause for Jack Saniuk. Jack making his first appearance here in about 3 years, and well, it probably wasn't exactly what you had envisioned, but we're glad to see you here anyway.
Well, I appreciate you saying, give them a round of applause, because that's the only way they would have. It wasn't pretty. What can you do? I haven't been bowling a lot, and, it's a good excuse, but that was terrible. What can you do?
Well, we appreciate your stopping by, and we hope to see you more often. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. Jack Saniuk stopping by, and the runner-up today, and now Bob Kelly on lane 31 with our bonus ball contest. We have $100 in the jackpot. That'll go to our winner if we get a match, and a brand new set of bowling balls will go to the person who sent in a card and to the bowler. Well, the drop was 5. Bob, why don't you come up here and we'll chat in just a second. We don't have a match, by the way, I should say. A very lovely postcard from New York City, but Michael and Diane Case, if I'm pronouncing that right, from Goffstown, New Hampshire. Michael and Diane had high expectations, Bob. They were expecting a strike. So no match there, so we'll be up to $110 next week. Congratulations to the new dad, and we have little Madison here, and wouldn't you know, this is the first time she's been fussing all day.
Everybody knows she's ill. She's all here.
Well, it wasn't, as Jack said, this match wasn't pretty necessarily, but you made the spares that you had to make, and you had more to shoot at, too.
Yeah, we were both rusty. It just showed today, so hopefully it'll carry over into the next one.
Well, I know you know Jack Ray very well. We'll look forward to that one.
All right, thank you.
All right. That'll give time for Madison to settle down and get ready for next week's match. And that should be a good one. We'll take a look at the ladder here. This is a very impressive group, as we've said. And next week it'll be Bob Kelly against Jack Ray, with the winner then to move on to face Kevin Davis. And then, of course, in 3 weeks, it will be Tim Lipke here in the #1 spot.
Just another cakewalk to the Tournament of Champions.
Right.
It's going to be tough for any of these bowlers.
All right. We hope you'll join us again next weekend, Saturday and Sunday at 12 noon for more great bowling here on the Winds of New England. Saturday at noon, it'll be Candlepin Skins. And then, of course, Sunday at noon back here for Bob Kelly against Jack Ray on Stars and Strikes. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good week, everybody.